Of course, there was no such thing as magic. But how could the universe explain Serafina? She entered his home as if she owned it, and perhaps she did. Everything around her transformed in Lazarus's eyes. As she moved past the furnishings, the room seemed to grow more vibrant, brighter, as if she infused the very air with her essence. Gentle and serenely wise, her beauty shone so profoundly in the candlelight that it seemed impossible, almost obscene. It was as though she were aging in reverse, each year falling away like water off stone. But he had to be cautious, like a viper. Her beauty could turn on a man in a heartbeat, so he kept his distance, for now.
Hi.
His voice squeaked out, awkward and thin. Lazarus cleared his throat hard, hitting his chest to correct himself. She answered with an impersonal nod, then cast her gaze over the tokens of victory he had hauled from the ship. Carved jade, bolts of silk, a jeweled sextant. But what captured her attention entirely was the chessboard, an intricately carved mahogany table, round and substantial, complete with handcrafted pieces so detailed he could see the grain in each one. She moved toward it like it belonged to her. In his previous life, his other life, the man who reared him as a tot had been named de Mendoza. This was before he was sold to Master Wit. Mendoza taught Lazarus, who had been named Ben back then, the game of chess, along with how to read the stars in the sky. Mendoza had been born in a different world, and then taken from his mother's breast by the Spanish, given to the French, and dumped off on the Germans. He'd learned all their languages that only white men were permitted to speak with precision. De Mendoza taught them to him in secret so he could spy on visitors to the plantation and understand dangers. It was all a precursor to the torture and hard labor that would follow as he grew up. When Lazarus had asked why de Mendoza was constantly tortured and beaten the most out of all the men, a boy's desperate attempt to understand cruelty, de Mendoza had smiled.
It is a curse and a blessing for us to be men of dark skin. You will see.
So it went. Pleasure, then denial. Kindness, then the lash. Those contradictions had hammered away at him for years, often brought him to his knees, with a thirst so deep for vengeance it tasted like blood, especially when memories surfaced from the most repressed corners of his mind. Memories of Mendoza, hanging from a tree, buried in secret by him and other boys, and others around him, whom he had cared for, broken under the backbone of captivity. His own ability to rise above the mental games, his recovery from physical suffering, had often puzzled his captor. That is why he had been given the name Lazarus, and why he had kept it. He'd earned it.
So, I see you've got some new toys?
Serafina remarked, tossing her thick hair over her shoulder. The candlelight caught it, turning it to liquid amber.
You bring me anything?
Like what?
Another ship?
She asked. A ship is not a trophy, he said, descending the last stair. He approached her, close enough to touch, though he did not. The space between them felt charged, dangerous. Over there is my offering, for you, saving it for the night of the 12th moon. He let his voice drop. Did you see my offering, goddess?
Nice try,
she replied, but there was a flicker of something in her eyes. Lazarus smirked, his gaze steady, relentless. Now, it's your turn. What is the meaning of the offering you brought for me? He asked. Serafina's expression hardened.
The young one. He's not mine. He's yours. You left him in our sea to wash up on my island.
Me? Lazarus was overcome. He doubled back with exaggerated laughter, shoulders shaking. Serafina, however, did not share his humor. She stood rigid, glaring, while he struggled to recover his composure. I don't know what drowned that little rat, but it wasn't me. Why blame me for everything? He wiped his eyes, still grinning.
You know these waters,
She said coldly.
The man-child walked out of the sea with no boat, no ship to bring him in. Where else did he come from, Lazarus?
He sobered. The prophecy. When she didn't smile, he arched one dark brow with deliberate mocking delight.
Don't blaspheme,
Serafina warned. Sorry, okay. Let's not get so offended. He moved to the decanter on his desk and poured them both a generous glass of whiskey, his favorite stolen from a French merchant vessel months ago. He handed her a glass as a peace offering. She softened and accepted it, watching the amber liquid catch the light with obvious suspicion. Her tiny nose wrinkled in disgust. Serafina rarely drank, only when he invited her to. It was part of their dance. Lazarus waited. She was brave, curious about everything, fearless, so she felt triumphant when she tossed the whiskey down with a single swallow. She shook her head, frowning. She coughed, putting the back of her hand to her mouth.
The whites lie.
I don't know what the fuck you think I've done, but I would never throw a kid in the ocean for fun or for you to find, Lazarus said, watching her carefully. What language does he speak?
English is what I heard when he spoke to me, but he's been mute since I took him.
She set the glass down with deliberate care.
Oh, and I didn't find him, by the way.
Lazarus drank his whiskey, half listening, though his mind was far from the boy. He daydreamed about what it would feel like to run his hands along the soft curve of her hips, to feel her beneath him, around him, to hear her say his name the way she did when they were alone, when all the power and authority fell away. Who found him? Aminata the faithful, Kalinda the passionate. No, wait. He leaned against the desk, casual, though nothing about him was casual. It has to be Lysandra the liberator. Is that why she came with you? To work Barnabas up about the prophecy and make him a thorn in my arse? He's already in a mood. You know, putting those two together tonight of all nights is a mistake.
Your daughter.
Serafina interjected. Lazarus gagged. Whiskey sprayed from his mouth in a violent arc and he coughed hard. The spell had shattered entirely. What the hell are you talking about? He demanded. How would Sophia find that boy?
She's promoted. She's on patrols now. You've been gone for almost a year. She's 13, Lazarus. She's got the bleed.
Serafina took a seat in his big leather chair and crossed her legs with the absolute calm. The calm of someone who had already made her decision and needed only his acceptance. Lazarus's jaw clenched. The anger came fast and hot, filling him like a tide. He threw his glass. It shattered against the far wall, shards sailing everywhere in a spray of crystal and whiskey. Serafina didn't blink at the burst of violence. She had seen his temper in all its shades before, had learned long ago how to wait him out. He paced, short, explosive strides. I don't give a fuck about your customs or superstitions. His voice was a controlled roar. I put up with this shit enough from Barnabas and these rebels. I do it because of what we've built here together. But this is too far, Serafina. I warned you, she does not sail. She does not patrol. She is not one of your sisters to be offered for mating. She is our daughter. Our daughter. And she will have a different life. Nothing changes from that plan unless it is cleared by me. Do you understand me?
You can't threaten me, Lazarus.
I run my island and our daughter the way I decide. If she is bleeding once a month, it means she needs to learn the ways of our faith, the ways of our people. She needs to know how to defend herself and her sisters from men like you and these wolves you lead. Whether you want her to grow up or not, she is growing. And you are at sea more and more.
So the fuck are you? He countered.
Not hardly.
She started. Blackthorn is hunting us. He threw his hands in the air, the words explosive. Every ship I take, every merchant vessel, every trade route, we draw blood into the water, and he smells it. What do you think happens when a man has a daughter on an island and a hunter like that knows where he lives?
She is our blood, Lazarus. That brings with it the good and the bad. It always has, and it always will.
Seraphina's voice was steady, immovable.
There is no paradise for her other than the one she makes for herself, not the fantasy you sold her with your wild stories when she was a babe. This is the way of our life.
His nostrils flared, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. Don't push me, he warned, his voice dropping to something dangerous.
You always get like this about her, irrational fear.
Seraphina rose from the chair with deliberate grace.
We must prepare her for a life in the world we escaped, if she is going to have any life at all. No more dream play. She's just a girl, like I was, like my mother and your mother before me. And you know what girls like us really have to endure.
She moved toward him carefully. He did have his limits, and she had learned them over the years of loving him. But underneath all that anger and bravado, she knew his heart. She knew that everything, every decision, every risk, every brutal choice was made in love. Their love for Sophia, the Pure One, fueled every single thing they did. It was the only softness left in him. Seraphina came close enough to touch him.
Can you calm down?
Her voice shifted, became gentler, a different instrument entirely.
Can you be reasonable with me? I need your counsel, not your anger right now. The boy didn't touch her or harm her. He'd be dead by my blade if he had. He's a kid, like you said. Now focus, my love. How did he get to my island? How did he get past you? Who sent him?
I am telling you, he didn't come in with me. Lazarus tried to push her hand away, but she moved in closer instead, using her body to anchor him.
Let me clear you. Focus. Focus.
Her hands went to either side of his face, forcing him to meet her eyes, deep and mysterious as the sun when fading from the sky above the sea at night.
Are you sure? He could have stowed away and then jumped once you crossed the shadow waters. Think, Lazarus. Did your men clean the ship before you brought the vessel home? Are you sure this time?
Her voice was hypnotic, smooth as silk and honey. He was lulled out of his anger into the cradle of her concern, drawn down into those eyes, like a man going under. Lazarus considered every word she'd spoken. To be honest with himself, and he tried to be with her. He wasn't sure. He and the men were drunk most of the journey home, blind drunk. They'd even played the dangerous game of crossing the shadow waters inebriated, pushing their luck so hard, they nearly got their arses handed to them by currents that could pull a ship apart like kindling. Where was his certainty? Where was his clarity? Barnabas had voiced doubts. Barnabas was cautious, methodical. Barnabas wouldn't have let the boy stay hidden if he'd suspected. A book Master Wit had given him, years ago, spoke of a Trojan horse, the emblem of Troy, a gift that carried death inside it. Was his newest ship that horse? Had he been so full of ego, so drunk on victory, that he dragged a threat across the sea directly to his home? to Sophia. The thought made his chest tight with shame. Lazarus's brows drew together in an agonized expression. He bowed his head. Often, a man needed his pride and anger to shoulder the burdens of life. It gave him strength, a spine to stand on. But Seraphina had taught him something harder, that pride and anger were only useful if they served a greater purpose, if they protected what mattered. He opened his eyes and looked into hers. The smile in her eyes held a sensuous flame that forgave all his faults, all his violence, all his doubt.
Hi,
She said again, soft as silk, as if they were just meeting for the first time.
clearer now?
A smile tugged at his lips, but he was too embarrassed by the possibility of his own mistake to give in to it.
She's safe. We're all safe. For now, because nothing lasts forever, Lazarus.
I know, he confessed, and they embraced. Holding her again was how he best soothed himself. When she let go, her magic was complete. He felt her lips touch his like a whisper at first, tentative and sensuous. A vague, sensuous light passed between them when she withdrew, but Lazarus was not ready to let go. Her lips returned, and his parted. Sparks of amused delight flickered through him, traveling south, pooling low in his belly. Control slipped like sand through his fingers when he kissed her deeper and deeper. His tongue explored the recesses of her mouth, moving in circles, tasting her, learning her again like a map he'd never tire of studying. Around and around, thoughts swirled in his mind, each and every one full of lust and conflict over the danger unseen. But lust was fool's gold. It overwhelmed and clouded a man's senses, made him reckless. This time would be different. This time, he wasn't in the belly of the ship alone. This time, he would take her his way, make her feel all of the love he kept buried deep inside, per her request. Buried because love was a vulnerability he couldn't afford, not in his world. He moved in fast, his mouth devouring the softness of hers. His hands found the diamond buckle of her belt, and his fingers worked with practiced skill. Damn him to hell, all thoughts of Sophia, the boy, the danger, the prophecy, all of it vanished like smoke. He needed her. He needed her to understand that need in a way no words could touch. They remained tangled together in the darkness, their bodies still connected in ways that went beyond the physical. For a moment, there was only the sound of their breathing, the feel of his arms around her, the impossible comfort of being held by someone you loved, despite every reason not to. Seraphina lay on her side with her back pressed to his chest, his long legs almost hanging off the bed. She hated the fact that the feeling between them could never last forever. She hated that the dark thoughts returned so soon. He dropped a kiss on her cheek, tender and gentle. His hand rubbed down her arm, and then under the covers, resting on her lower belly, a silent acknowledgement of the child she couldn't give him, the sons he wanted from her, but would never have. Sophia's birth nearly killed her. The mothers had told her she would never give her king another child, that it was not destiny, yet no one had taught her how to explain that truth to her heart. And though Lazarus had 6 sons by 6 other sisters, the ache for it not to be true remained. She felt that ache in him too, in the way he held her, in the way he touched her as if she were the only woman who mattered. "You okay?" he asked softly.
I'm fine, Lazarus.
She said, but she sat up against the feather-stuffed pillows, already pulling away. The moment was breaking. Reality was returning.
We need to figure this out.
She said, her voice shifting from intimate to strategic.
The boy. We need to know why he's here.
Lazarus looked up at her like a wounded animal. The vulnerability in his eyes, the need for her, for this moment to continue, was almost unbearable to witness. Serafina, please give this moment a chance. I need it.
Quiet,
She said.
I'm not talking about us tonight or any other night. I'm talking about the boy. He's here, and we need to know why. What did you miss?
Lazarus sighed. He dropped back onto the mattress and stared up at the ceiling. I'll talk to him. I'll send a ship out into the shadow waters to look for the truth.
Where did you find the ship that you brought back? What was on it?
Serafina pressed him, her instincts already sensing he was hiding something. Doesn't matter. It was...
What was on it?
She demanded. It was one of Blackthorn's, he said, sitting up. He turned away, unable to meet her eyes. They had agreed to never bring another ship from the Redcoats to their home, unless its riches were too hard to carry, or it was scraped clean. The rule was to sink it, leave it behind. Serafina went very still.
Are you crazy? You took another Redcoat ship and brought it here so close to the 12th moon.
She leapt from bed, the intimacy shattered.
You didn't search it.
It was for cargo, export. It had valuable items to be used for trade. I couldn't bring all of it back on the gale. I thought,
Lazarus.
Serafina, please understand. Before he could say more, she was storming out of his room, shouting and cursing him. Damn, he groaned and pushed up from their moment of connection. He'd lost her, like he always did. No matter how intense their passion went, he was often left with the burn of consequences. The consequences of breaking her heart by telling her it mattered to him to have sons, and made her suffer as she watched other women take her place in his bed. The burn of being gone from her for so long and not being able to even send a signal to her that he returned. The hurt of their daughter being raised away from him, and the time that slipped away like sand in his hand, that stole away years of her growth, he could never get back. It all burned.